Hi, hello, and welcome back to more Star Stable videos. Or another Star Stable video. I promise I'm gonna try speaking more clearly. Um, but today, when I'm recording, is the final day of the Equestrian Festival. And I thought maybe I was gonna record some thoughts and opinions while I'll do the last of my shopping for this event. And I actually just realized that I don't think I actually turned in my spring treasures for tokens today, so let's start with that. Because just like with the winter event, where I recorded one of these videos where I just like bought all the things I wanted, and so I have a bunch of extra tokens. All of these are extra tokens. I have another 300 in my closet or my wardrobe. But I have another 300 the spring tokens that I saved up once I got all of the sets from this year from the token store or the exchange shop or whatever you call it. So I have everything from here already. At least everything I want. Or no, I have actually everything both from last year and this year. But I got everything, and I did that during the first week, and then I've spent all the rest of the days just storing, and some days I've done a lot of champs and gotten more tokens, and some days, there are a couple of days I didn't even log on, to be honest, because I've had other things going on in my life. But in the end, I had my 300 tokens saved up. I put in my closet, just like I did last year, so I was starting this year's Equestrian Festival with 300 tokens already, but these are the 1,137 tokens I have saved up since. And we're gonna use these. I'm actually gonna just for a moment, actually that's the wrong one. I'm gonna put, can I put you here? No, okay, you have put in thing. Actually, it doesn't matter that much. We're gonna run out of tokens soon anyway. I'm so all over the place. Can you tell it's been a while since I recorded anything? But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna exchange all these extra tokens that I don't need for salt pads, because I did a math a couple of days ago of like what is the most, like, based on how much they sell for, which you can see in your storage how much they will sell for once you've already exchanged for them. That I'm gonna exchange for them again, and then how much they will sell for, and then based like on how many tokens I have and how much they sell for, like the amount of tokens divided by amount of tokens the item costs, and then I know how many of these I'll get, and then I multiply the amount of ones I will get with the value they will sell for, and then I know how much money I will make out of it. And I believe I came to the conclusion that sal pads are the best ones. And if I go for this year's or last year's, doesn't matter. This one and this one both sell for just as much. Or no, actually this sells for a bit less, but in the end you end up making just as much from these as you would from these, because there's just like, they are just as much cheaper in how many tokens they cost as they are in how many Jorvik shillings you get for them when you sell them. So this is how I run it, to spend as few star coins as possible. So yeah, I'm just gonna start doing this, I guess. Getting as many saddle pads as these tokens will let me. And obviously tomorrow morning, if I wake up early, I woke up pretty early today, and if I do so tomorrow as well, I might, log on and do the dailies, and then I'll maybe exchange for some more. But yeah, now we have a bunch of sell pads that will sell for 800 shillings each, and then we can just, sell them and make a bunch of money. And then I have more stuff in my backpack. And also, I've already bought some stuff. Like you can see, I bought the saddle and a bunch of other stuff. As I've got a max shillings, and also just because there's a lot of math. Like, you don't want to sell for so much that you like hit max shillings, right? So I sit and like calculate. No, I don't want to sell that. That's a good point that I pointed that out. I'm not sure if I want to buy this cardigan. A lot of people like it, and I like the color, but it feels so flat, and it kind of feels like doll clothing. Like a cardigan for a doll, or maybe like a baby. I don't know if that makes sense. So sorry, I drank some water, and hopefully my voice won't be as gravelly anymore. And it goes gravelly the moment I start talking. And it hasn't all day, just the moment I start recording. Of course it does. Of course. Yeah, I know what I feel about it. Maybe I'll get it in the end, but I don't know when I'd use it. So, and obviously I don't have enough shillings. I could sell something small for it, obviously, but do we have anything else that costs like 9,000? Like, we have this one. Let's get this one. So yeah, this is what we're going to be doing. But let's talk about the Equestrian festival this year. What you might be able to gather from the fact that I didn't play every day, one of those days was because I was sick and had the worst headache I've had in my entire life. And the only time I spent on the computer that day was for schoolwork because I had to get things done. And that was painful. And then I just slept for like 15 hours because headache. Like, I heard noises and I felt like I was gonna throw up because that's how much pain I had right there. It was not nice. And yeah, but otherwise, like, I usually try and play like every day of an event unless something comes up. But some days I just really didn't feel like it. And I think that's a sign that this year the festival maybe wasn't as enjoyable as it's been previously. And I've been trying to think about why that is. And I think part of it is that there isn't anything new. And I know that like producing more new things is something that takes a lot of time, and that's what makes festivals so hard to do, because you expect something on the same theme every year. But I'm starting to think that maybe the whole concept of having returning festivals, maybe, is that really what we want? Like, I understand we like a lot of things. And I also know the like FOMO from other games I play. Like, for example, I play, or I used to play, I don't play so much anymore, but I used to play Genshin Impact. And in Genshin Impact, once an event ends, it doesn't return. They have some events where like the main theme returns. For example, there's Lantern Rite every year, which is for Lunar New Year. And there's a Lantern Rite celebration every year. But the actual quests, story, and the interactive things you do are different every year. So I'm gonna buy those pants. I really like these pants with like the brown on like the inside of the knees. I love that, and the belt. Just, they're gorgeous. So yeah. Because when we get the same thing over and over again, like, it was really fun the first year, and it was still really enjoyable the second year and the third year, and obviously now we're on the 5th year, I think, of the Equestrian Festival. I think the Equestrian Festival made its debut during 2020, during the pandemic. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it will be too late, because when the video is uploaded, it probably been a couple of days. I don't know when I'm gonna have time to edit this. I'm gonna try and do it as soon as possible though. But I can't promise that it's like the same day as I record it. I'm gonna try, but I can't promise. So yeah, like I'm thinking about that, because what did we get this year that was new? We got new horses. We got the stable themes, which are really pretty. But I want to buy horses and clothes, and the horses that are retiring. So I'm not gonna spend my start coins on the stable right now, because I'm gonna be able to spend later, even if I really like it and I kind of really want to. But yeah, like, that is new. And then we have the treasure hunt, and we're gonna get into the treasure hunt. And I had been planning to do a video, because I think I talk about this a lot. I feel like I talk about this a lot, but obviously if this is the first video mine you watched, you maybe only watched like one video, or a video where I don't talk as much. I say as I'm the biggest yapper on the planet, but then it wouldn't be that weird for you to not know that I am a game designer. I am in college. I am one thesis away from having a bachelor's degree in game design. This is my forte. And I'm not saying this in any way of like, I study game design, so I'm better than the people who designed content for this game. No, like, they're obviously game designers too. And you don't need a bachelor's degree to be a game designer. That's just the route I chose to get to where I want to get, or where I want to go. If you want to be a game dev, you don't need to have like a bachelor's in the area you're interested in. You can take other types of education, or you can be self-taught, as long as you can show your skill and that you're good enough. This is not an industry that cares so much about like having a degree on paper. So got that out of the way. But I'm a game designer, and I looked at this like treasure hunt thing as like, it feels so pointless, and it feels like it also feels like it doesn't tell you what to do at all. It just like rushes you through things, and it also felt like it was bugs in it, or either that, or they didn't communicate how it was supposed to work to us in the news either, because the way the news made it sound is not how it actually worked in the end. And then I have some other guesses around that are my guesses on how they work, but I don't actually know, because I don't work for Star Stable, so I don't know how the actual system works. But I'm looking at it and I was like, this is how it looks like it's working from my perspective as an outsider, with some knowledge about game dev. But I was gonna get to this, like, I had been planning on making a video where like I was gonna like make like, this is how I would have done this like treasure hunt quest thing, especially introduction quest, because that's that annoyed me the most. But there's some in the beginning, but now there's a lot of things, and how I would have done it, because obviously like making video games is a creative industry, and in creative industries it's important to have different people, different background, just different people to talk to bounce around ideas and discuss them with, because that's how creativity works. Like it builds and amplifies off of each other. So I just wanted to put forth like, this how, based on what these people have already made, what the designers at Star Stable have already created, this is how I would continue working on it. So obviously that's building off of theirs. I'm not making anything from scratch, and that's obviously always going to be easier. And I wanted to make a video about that, but then I got sick, and then I had some other things with school that I couldn't get done earlier because I got sick. And now we're here the last day, and I don't have the content from the game recorded that I would need to make this type of video, and I would need to have it recorded in English, and I only have it in Swedish currently, because I did the quests in Swedish together with Bella. And I don't have any other accounts with Starrider, and there's all these things, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna scrap this idea. But I really want to start talking more about game design on this channel, because that is one of my big passions. I've spent multiple years of my life studying it at university. I have you know, uh, I have gone into debt to study this, you know, thing, because that's how like interested I'm in it, that I'm willing to collect debt for it, student loans, right? So it is obviously something I care about a lot. But I feel like something I've realized with a lot of the new event quests is that they don't tell us how to do things. They tell us that this is a thing, and then the quest is over. It doesn't walk us through anything. It doesn't show us anything. And then we have to figure it out ourselves, or we have to rely on other people. And that's usually what I do. I will go on Instagram or YouTube and look it up, or just like look through people I'm following stories. And usually there's someone who either figured it out or someone else figured it out and told this person with a bigger platform, and then they share it. And that is how it works. And that is, in my opinion, not the type of community interactions you want out of a game, because they are born out of frustration and confusion. And confusion creates, negative feelings, which you don't want your players to have, because then they're not happy with you, they're not happy with the game, and that's bad for business. So I would have had that quest be longer, and that's how I would change like the quest. Like I would have shown, not just tell, like I would have had it more like, now she kind of tells us, oh, I found a treasure chest, and maybe you can go look at it. And then she's like, oh, maybe I found this key, maybe you need to look for keys. And then she gives you a key, and then it's like done. And instead I would have been like, I saw like a treasure chest before, should we go look at it? And like then you ride there with her, and it's like, hey, it doesn't open. Okay, what if we go look for keys? And then like she, Stephanie, I think her name is, the Bobcat girl, like she will run around like an NPC, like through is it Greendale? Yeah, Greendale Forest. And then you get on your map marked places where you can find keys, like the different places that exist. I'm gonna walk you through this. Like, this is not a shopping video anymore. I'm too into this. I'm making it. We're gonna go back to shopping. At least I don't have to look out for championships anymore, because I've done all the championships today, at least once. So, actually, I haven't done any twice, but yeah, I've done championships. Okay, so this is, what's your name? I can't see your name. That's weird. I think this is Stephanie. Right, so you take with Stephanie, and you know, let's so yeah, we go over to, if we're walking through this quest, you're like, oh, I saw a treasure chest before, but I didn't have time to stop, but I'm really excited about it, or like I'm really interested in it. Would you like want to go check it out with me? Like, I thought this was something you would be interested in. Like, I'm a game designer, I'm not a game writer. A writer. Writers are responsible for writing, okay? I can help with ideas, but in the end, I don't want to take their job. That's rude. But like, kind of throwing out ideas of like what the story could be, to be more like cohesive, because it didn't feel cohesive into the world as well. It felt like very startling, and it kind of broke the immersion as well. Like, sometimes Star Stable keeps the immersion so strong that they don't actually tell you what to do. Like, they tell you what to do within the world, like, so strongly that you don't realize you've been given instructions, and that is a problem. But sometimes they break the immersion entirely, and that isn't good either, because they don't feel immersed. But obviously this is where the chest was the first day, and in the cutscene. And you go here, and like, Stephanie's right by you, and then it's like, oh, let's try and open it. And maybe you have to like press it, or maybe even like dismount and like walk up to the chest, and you press it, and it's like, uh-oh, it's locked. What if there's like a key hidden? What if we go look for it? And Stephanie, like, she rides into like Greendale, and you can see her run around like as an NPC. And then you get on your map mark the places where you can find a key, one at a time. where the last one is where you're gonna find a key. Because then you have, as a player, been introduced to places where you can find a key, and you will go see them all, and not happen to accidentally miss a place and then one day won't be able to find a key because they haven't spawned. So this, for example, is one place. You're gonna start here. Okay, couldn't find a key. Let's go to the next place. I know 4 places where keys can spawn. Maybe there are more, but these are 4 I saw on social media and where I've also myself found keys. So let's continue. We go look here on the porch. No key, just like right now. We continue onwards, upwards. I'm just gonna collect these spring treasures while we're here anyway. Obviously this is where the treasure is today, but I've already unlocked it. Let's see. Oh, there is a key here right now, but obviously in the quest you go here and it's like, oh, no key. And then you go to the last place, which is down here on Goldspur Farm, once again on the porch. And you go here and then you find a key and you think, oh, here's a key, nice. And then the quest is done and Stephanie will be down by like the treasure chest again. Maybe even because a rule of thumb I know at least some designers at Star Stable try to follow, or maybe it's what they're supposed to follow, I don't know, which I think is a very good rule, is that one thing happens or every quest in a quest line. So like that's the one thing you do right now, so that since if you get like thrown out of the game or you log out, obviously your progress won't save, you're gonna have to restart that quest. So you want to have one thing that you can do like quickly and then finish and then go on to the next quest, so that you don't have to redo a lot of big major things if the game crashes and you're thrown out. So you go look for all these places and you get here and it's like, oh, here's the key, nice. And then maybe here you get like a green exclamation point and you kind of talk to yourself, I found the key, nice, let's go back to the treasure chest with Stephanie and see if this is the key for the chest. And now the second quest is go down to the beach where the treasure chest. I have a really hard time saying things with the sh or sh sounds. I accidentally use them interchangeably. I used to do that in Swedish too when I was little, but I've lost that in Swedish at least, which is nice because I had people pick on me. I had adults pick on me as a child because of that. That's wild looking back on it. But I haven't really lost that in English because I don't speak English as much as I speak Swedish. But that's beside the point. I'm just sorry for my poor pronunciation. But you get back here to the chest and you talk to Stephanie. It's like, hey, I found the key. And maybe she's like, oh, let's, or maybe she would probably be like, hey, you found the key, nice, let's try it. Next quest, unlock it, you get the reward, which would be the spring treasure, and she would be like, oh, it was filled with spring treasures. That's so nice. What if there would be more chests that spawn? Like, what if more chests shows up? You're gonna have to continue looking like every day, and you're gonna have to look for the keys again. And now you've already been given in-game, without having to rely on another person, the information of how to, you know, get everything you need to complete this daily. Because I only knew how to find the keys because I saw it on, was it Anna Dovenest's Instagram? I'm not sure. Maybe it was her. I'm sorry, I'm gonna see if I can. Anna Greystone, was it? It was Anna Greystone's Instagram I saw it on. I was like, it was Anna something with starting with the G. So why did I say Dovenest? I don't know. D and G. Is this a common dyslexia thing, by the way? Because as a kid, I sometimes read D's as G's and G's as D's. Especially in Disney. I still, like, to me, the capital D in Disney is a G. I know it's pronounced Disney, but I can't unsee the D as a G. And I know other dyslexic people who also do that. Is that a dyslexic thing, or are we just weird? Because I know I don't always associate letters in the most natural ways. I literally have a alternative brain function. I have a disability, it's easier to say, and it is also true. I have a disability that affects how I interact with letters in like reading and writing, which is dyslexia. But now I've been on a rant about like how I would do this, and obviously I don't think I forgot to do this quest today. I did it yesterday though. Okay, we're doing this. You're gonna get to see me do this. Okay, come on. I want to talk to the girl. Hello, nice to meet you. I think it's time for me to find another horse to train with. Yeah, this is a perfect place. I wanna slätlöpning. I think that's a poor translation. It's like löpning, that's like racing, and slät, that's like flat. It's like flat racing. Is that a thing in English? You don't know anything about this supposedly slätlöpning. I've never heard of slätlöpning before. This word, slätlöpning. But sure. Okay. You want to race. And on flat ground. So like flat racing. I guess she meant that like she's gonna be racing like on the racetracks and not like in a train. And then I think the English thoroughbred is gonna be the perfect breed for you. Yes. This is the English thoroughbred. It has long legs and the muscly? That's not how you say it in English. It has muscles. On its... This is called a cross, I think. The front part in English. It's called bog in Swedish. I know that, and also it says it here. It's fast and yeah. Okay, nice. Now I've done everything I can today, except the last spring treasure stuff, but that's expensive. And I haven't bothered with that anyway, because I had so many tokens. You saw I had over 1,000 extra tokens, and I still have another 300 in my closet. But yeah, what I was getting at is I don't think I'm better at game design than anybody else. I know people personally who are a lot better at game design than I am. And I don't think the people who did these are necessarily bad. I don't think they are bad at game design. That's like end of story. Like they're not bad. It's just a common problem when you've worked a lot with a game, is that you get blind to what type of information the player has and what the player doesn't have. Because the type of information you have of a game as a developer is different, and the understanding and how obvious things are going to be for a player. That is different for you as a developer than it is from a player perspective. And you can't entirely have that player perspective. You can have part of it if you are an active player of the game you're making, which isn't very common and also not fully recommended, because then your work and hobby is the same thing, and that's not healthy. Which is why I am primarily a combat designer. Maybe I should also point that out. I'm not fully a combat designer, but that's what I work most with. And as you can tell, I don't play very combat heavy games because I don't want to work with my hobby. That is a thing a lot of game devs feel like. When you love games and you work with them, you need to have a different type of game that you play than what you work with. Which is beside the point. When you work with the game for a long time, it's easy, especially with things that you yourself make, that you think that you have given enough instruction, that it's obvious, because you know how you have reasoned about everything. And it's very hard to see things from the perspective of a person who doesn't have that information when you have it. And it can be hard, especially even if you playtest it on other people, if it is understandable enough for people to have that extra information of being a dev and knowing how the game works and the logic behind that they will understand it too. And then if you only do playtesting internally, which for something this small would have only been playtested internally, I presume, it's going to be hard to catch those things, that it isn't clear enough in the instructions. So I just think that, and that's a problem I've had in games I worked on too, in school, where I didn't catch, me nor any of the people I was working. These are projects where we were maybe, 12, 13 people, which still isn't a lot, but I mean, at least the area of Sweden I live in, there's a lot of game studios here. Most game studios are 30 people or less. So if we were 12 people, we were the size of some game studios. Obviously, Star Stable is a lot bigger than that. Star Stable is like around 200 people, I think. They're one of the bigger ones in Sweden that are Swedish owned and haven't been acquired by someone else. Like DICE doesn't count. I'm sorry to say that. I love DICE as much as the next game dev student in Sweden. Everybody loves DICE. Everybody respects DICE. But they have been acquired by EA. So you can't really count their numbers and their resources the same way you can most other Swedish games, because they're EA. And at the end of the day, they have EA money. Star Stable is just Star Stable. They do not have some bigger global company behind them with money, but which also comes with like restrictions and rules, obviously, and you have to adhere to like their company culture and stuff. But like, yeah, Star Stable is an independent company, which I think is very admirable. But they're pretty big for a Swedish independent company that haven't been acquired by somebody else. That is, Swedish founded, Swedish based, which DICE was until they were acquired. Which is very beside the point. Let's continue shopping now that we've had our little tangent about game design. But yeah, like, what were your thoughts of the treasure hunt? Because that's the only new thing we got, other than horses. That's the only gameplay we got that was new. And I don't know what you think, because other than me feeling like the introductory quest was very lacking, which I feel like have become a trend over the last few years. Let's sell that one too. In quests, in events, they're supposed to be there, only for a short period of time, right? I felt like we had that with, quests at the winter event as well. I can't remember exactly what they were, but I feel like maybe back when the Blizzard events, they weren't originally very intuitive how to do. So this isn't a brand new problem. It's one that have, rose up over the last few years. But I feel like there's a big difference in how much things are explained to us today in event quests compared to how much they were explained like pre-2020. Back in like 2018, 2017, 2019, I felt like we knew a lot more. We understood, we were told how to do things, even if it doesn't make sense. Like, if information, sometimes the information isn't logical for a person in one world to say to another person in that same world. But for me, as the player, another person who doesn't exist in that world, I need that information to play. Like, for example, if a player tells you, you can pick something up using E, for example. If a person told you in real life you can pick something up using E, that doesn't make sense. That's not what you do in real life. That isn't part of the game's immersion, right? But sometimes you need to break immersion so that the instructions you give are clear enough that the player understands. Because otherwise it's going to create confusion, which creates frustration, which can lead a player to stop playing a game, and so on. And that is not the goal, obviously. And that is something I wish they worked on more. Other than that, my comments on this year's Equestrian Festival would also be that there's been a lot of bugs. Like, I love the red string trail ride, but it is so buggy that I don't actually enjoy it anymore. I enjoy the concept, but it's obvious that they don't have the time to fix it, and yet it's put in. There are things that have been bugged for years. Like, for example, like every quest with a person like who you meet along the way to follow you to the top of the trail is bugged. Like, they will start walking, and then after they get a little bit, they will teleport back to where they started. And that will go the entire time. They're not riding the trail with you anymore. They just teleport to the top when you get there. And, well, other things as well, but that's the most prominent. And it just feels so buggy. And also there's no really new there's no new like things you can encounter. The first year it was really interesting because there was all these new things, and I think the second year we got the like Lisa Picnic, and she had a new song, or if like maybe the Lisa Picnic had been the first year as well, and they were introduced to a new song, so there was still something new to look out for and hope you would encounter. And also I hadn't encountered exactly everything yet, because obviously it's randomized, so it's random if you see everything or not. But yeah, I feel like the red string trail ride is so buggy that, like, is it even worth doing anymore, you know? Like, let me know your thoughts on that as well, because I don't feel like particularly interested in playing it anymore. I would have been happier to see the return of Scott and like the animals here around Moorland, and like guide them back to Scott every day. I would have gotten more from that than the red trail string ride. Which I feel like is a like that, because it's so buggy. Like, it doesn't feel enjoyable, and it gives not that much XP. It gives like what, 150 XP. Okay, then it gives 250 because you get 100 from the quest, and then you get 150 for completing the red trail string ride. But yeah, I don't enjoy that much anymore. And the same goes for like with the quests. Obviously that was something we got more things of every year before, where they expanded on the event quest every year. But we haven't gone that for 2 years now, but we still get a little bit of the quest the first week, and a little bit more the next week, and a little bit the third week. And I kind of wish just gave it to us all at once, because I'm kind of tired of it. I don't think the story of those quests makes sense. Why are Linda and Alex putting up a booth at the Equestrian Festival? And why would the Equestrian Festival have a booth about druids and technology? And I guess it's supposed to be kind of like they're really out of their depth and they don't know what they're doing, and maybe that's what it's supposed to symbolize, but it just comes off as that they are very incapable, which we know they're not. So it feels like out of character, which I don't enjoy. And it also gets annoying, because like the first week you're still excited about the event, and the first week was still fun to do the quests, even, you know, it's the same rewards as every year, it's the same thing, there are some bugs, but it's still enjoyable. By the third week, like, I didn't do the quest the third week. I did them 2 days ago. Because I just couldn't be bothered. Because I only did them so I would get them out of the way. So I could get my tokens. So, like, I wish they wouldn't, like, portion them out like there's something to look forward to. Because they're not. And I know it's because they won't have something to release every week. But either I wish they'd start, like, here you get an event and you get, like, everything the first week. And then it continues for this many weeks. That's how long you have to do everything. But then you get normal, non-event updates the rest of the weeks of those events. Or that they started focusing more on developing the events. So that we got new content. Because that is what players need. Otherwise, just new updates with new content would be more enjoyable. And I know a lot of players love event, me included, because we get new races and we get more XP. And we get new clothes, and you get clothes that you can get for free because you buy them from the tokens that you get for playing the game. So it's very rewarding. But the event itself isn't really fun anymore. So if we could get that another way, wouldn't we? Wouldn't we take that? Those are my thoughts. Oh, we also had the thing with the Baroness, which obviously isn't new, but they've improved upon it. And I enjoyed this more. It meant we had more to do. Because previously, it was just one big meter, and a progress bar, and the progress would count upwards. Based on, like, you did your races and your championship stuff, you did things for the event, right? And I think I'm gonna have to swap to star coins soon. But now you have, like, every week you got a new progress bar, and you got, like, small rewards in the middle. You obviously got those coins that I think you could sell for, like, 100 shillings. I didn't. I saved them because I'm a collector. But otherwise, you can sell them and you get some extra shillings. You got extra tokens. You got food for your horses. Which, even if you have stable care like I do, you get XP for feeding your horses. Like, it's worth it. Should I get this? I don't know. Because I don't think I have anything else that costs 9,000 shillings left. Should I get it just because? Let's get it just because. I didn't like it, but I get it anyway. So, yeah, I like we got small rewards, and then you get a bigger reward towards the end of the week, which got bigger every week, ending with getting ribbon, and wrong horse. You got the ribbon and the cat. And I like this more because it was more incentive, and you got things to do every week. Even though it went, like, really quickly. But previous years, it felt like you got done with that bar very quickly. You fill it up maybe the first or second week, and you still had to wait for 4th week to get the reward. Now you could work for it every week and get something every week, and the extra things you've done the previous weeks that didn't count right now, so it was more like, you have to continue working like now the new week. I like that. Some people said I've seen some people say, like, they would prefer if it went back to just being one bar instead of, like, one every week. And I understand that too. Like, it's more to work towards, but I personally prefer this. My personal opinion, obviously. And everyone's entitled to their personal opinion as well. Let's do that. Oh, wait, I have a bunch of those. We can sell those as well. Okay, not the full stack though. Obviously, because that's 10,000. But what I'm getting at is one I guess two new things we got. One is more like recycled. Both of them are kind of recycled because we used to have treasure hunts, but those treasure hunts were more exciting. This was more just like running around. Oh, I have so much more to say about it. I think we should have gotten better rewards. Like, just getting tokens doesn't mean much. I would rather seen that like you could exchange these. Maybe like you could exchange them for tokens too, but maybe you could also exchange them maybe for like horse XP, or you could exchange them for like some clothing, attack items. Like they could be, or maybe like decorations. You could use them to get like cute things or like a pet or something. Like maybe you could get like a bunch of these like stacked to put in your salad bag or something. I don't know, some type of fun pet. And then you could also get like the tokens if you wanted to continue doing that. So there's actual incentive rather than like most of us already have a lot of tokens. Over from previous years, you get a lot of tokens every week. You could get a few hundred every week just by playing the game. You don't really need that, and like also it was kind of hard to collect the treasures. Like it was easier the first 2 weeks, because then it was more concise. But from my understanding, like it felt like they want, at least from what I understood from the news, it felt like they wanted to like add they wanted to add more areas where treasure could spawn, so there were more treasure for you to collect as you got like bigger, like exchange things with like every week. The first week you only had the 25 one, the second week you had 25 and the 51, and then you got the 25, 50, 75. Last week we got the 100 one, and I've never exchanged for the 100 one once. Because it's really hard to collect now. It got just harder and harder because it feels like there's just a set amount of treasure that can spawn. I don't know if this is the case, but my observation made it feel like this is like, I'm gonna see if I have more things I can sell. But like my it felt like it was just like, this is how many treasure you can spawn at once, but now there's more places for them to spawn, so they're more spread out. Rather than the beginning, you could like run your little route just around the stable, and you could collect a lot of them close together, so it went faster to collect all the treasure you needed. Rather than now, I get some by the stable, but not a lot, and I get some in all the woods, but not a lot, and like 1, 2, maybe 3 on Paddock Island, and I don't even know what they were supposed to spawn the last week. I never figured that out. So it just got harder and harder to collect those treasures. And also I feel like the 100 one is it's a very high like daily goal. And I guess that was supposed to be, but that feels more okay back when we used to, exchange like recyclables with Bonnie at the festival. She used to stay like over here, I think, with her horse. And you could give her recyclables and you'd get tokens. And that's kind of, it worked the same way as the spring treasures did, except it was with recyclables. But the recyclables worked better because you could collect them all year round. And they had been something you could collect before the event. So you could already have a bunch lying around. So you didn't have to collect everything you were exchanging for every day. Because like I have at least one full stack on top of this in my wardrobe. So that makes more sense rather than this, like you can't collect it afterwards. You can't build up a bank of like extra tokens or extra treasures, and you couldn't collect them beforehand. And then you have like as much as like 100 every day. And then I think unintentionally got harder and harder to collect them. I think the tension was like, oh, there's gonna spawn more because there's more areas for them to spawn, but it doesn't feel like the amount of treasure actually increases. It just feels like the areas where it can spawn increases. It takes longer time to find them and more effort, so you don't want to put in that effort because effort is annoying to put in, right? Personal opinion, though. So, yeah, I don't know if that is the case, however. And then the other thing is with the what are they called? What are they called? With the treasure chests, which we've already been over, but they went up how many like treasures they gave per chest every day after the first week. And now they've gone down again. Like, we got 45 for a while. And then it went down to 25. And like now I think I got like 15. So I think they were supposed to increase every week. But then something happened and they decreased. And I hope that wasn't intentional, because then it just gets even more annoying. Especially people, maybe some people haven't had time to play as much, or like cramming to get all the tokens, to get all the things, especially if they didn't play previous years and they wanna, get like last year's set as well. Right? Like, it feels like they put it together, it's like, oh, it works, and then like it wasn't tested enough and they didn't catch all the bugs, and obviously that happens. It's a live service game. It's gonna happen. It's unavoidable, and it's no idea sitting here like it's not allowed to happen, because like this is a small thing. There are other bigger things that aren't allowed to happen, and real life happens. Like, you can't plan for everything. But that doesn't mean like it's any easier, or like, that doesn't feel horrible when it does, happen. But yeah, I think I'm gonna start having spent star coins now. Yeah, let's do it. Let's rip off the band-aid. But yeah, I guess that's what we were talking about. So once again, like, I want to hear your opinions of the Equestrian Festival. Like, what are your thoughts on the event as a whole? What are your thoughts like this year compared to last year, or other years that you played, if you didn't play last year but you've played the event previously? Also, like, if you want to, like, I obviously can't force you to do anything you don't want, but sorry, water break. Like, also, like, what would you have liked to see? And do you agree with me? Like, what are your thoughts on, like, what I said about the treasure hunt and how it worked, how I wish it had worked, how I wish the introduction had been? Because I've been thinking about it, like, since I played those quests. I just didn't have time, and also, like, as I said, I was sick, so I couldn't, get everything I wanted done. My star coins. Do I want those rings, though? Maybe I'll come back for those rings. I do want the glasses, though. They're cute. We'll see about those gloves. Oh, and now we have a full bag. How nice. Because obviously, yeah, like, also, like, I lost my train of thought twice. I'm so sorry. This is a mess for you to watch. But, like, obviously, they're just just lost my train of thought again. What am I even doing? Did I miss that one? I think I did. I'm gonna go back and get it while I remember. Yeah, I forgot about it. Hopefully I won't have a repeat of the winter event where I accidentally bought 2 of this saddle pad. 4 star coins. But yeah, like your thoughts about like what there are some things obviously that didn't return this year, like the animals, like the herding animals for Scott. Would you like to see that return? And there are things that return that are bugged, or maybe you saw things return that you didn't want to see return. Like I don't care enough about the Sabine things. Like if they remove the Sabine things, I wouldn't cry about it. I'd be kind of happy, to be entirely honest with you. No, this is out of order. It's supposed to be like that. Because, you know, as I said, it is fun the first week, and then they like drag it out every week to have new content to release, and it isn't enjoyable. It's the same quests where the soul riders look very incompetent, and they become annoying in a way, right? Towards the end of the quest line, like when you destroy the fireworks and all these things, and you talk to Linda and Alex, and then they're kind of like, oh, she fooled you. It's like, no, she didn't. She's a dark rider. I know what I'm dealing with. And then you say like, no, and they're like, uh-huh, sure. It's like, I'm sorry, you're the ones who've been acting incompetent this entire time, but now you're like throwing it at me. It feels, I don't know, I don't like it. Obviously the cutscene is very cool with Sabine, and I love Facing the Crowd. Obviously I love all of Browsing Collection's songs. And all the songs they recorded as the Miscreants. If you don't know, the Miscreants, the band in Star Stable, all their music is made and recorded by, made and played and recorded by a real life band called Browsing Collection. But like, yeah, like other than that, I'm looking at the old things as well. Maybe I kind of want that helmet, but I don't know if I want the boots. We'll see. I think I'll be able to make it without those, though. Probably those 2. It is hard to match the brown things, though. Maybe I should get these. And I do kind of want these ones because they're cute. So yeah, we can take a look at the horses also before I end this, and I'm gonna leave those there. Maybe I'll buy them before the update tomorrow, because I really don't want to like miss out. But yeah, the few things we did get that were new this year, we didn't get any new pets other than the cat from the Baroness. We didn't get any pets we could exchange for with tokens or so. But we got these 2 Hanoverians, which I really like. I obviously have 1 Hanoverian. I'm not super into like Palomino colored horses, but I really like this one. I named mine Morningstar or Lucifer, partially because of the show, but I also think it's a great horse name. I'm probably biased because I grew up on books by Pia Hagmar, who's a Swedish like children's book author, and she writes a lot of horse books, but also like children's mystery novels. But I think there's more than one of her horse book series where there's a horse called Lucifer. I think the most predominant one is from the Clara book series, which is the one I read the most as a child, where one of the boys, I think it's Sandor or Sandros. Is his name Sandor or Sandros? I can't remember. I think his name is Sandor. He has a horse who's called Lucifer, or Lucifer's Dream, maybe? It's something with Lucifer. But he's called Trollet, which means the troll. Because he's a little troll. And then it's another book series that I think I read by her. I think she has one other series where there's a horse called Lucifer. So I don't know. Lucifer feels like a great horse name to me. So this is my Lucifer. And then this is Soysite. I named this one. Twins. No. Soysite. And I don't have a lot of like this shade of grey where they are starting to grey out to go more, white. So yeah, it's not a color I'm often drawn to, but I think they're all really well made, and I bought them all anyway. But I'm really excited about them, and I'm excited that we got a more like show jumpy horse for the Equestrian Festival, because there's a lot more focus, I feel like, on dressage at the Equestrian Festival, and it would be fun to maybe get some show jumping things at the Equestrian Festival, because we got a show jumping horse. Because obviously we've had more dressage horses, like we've had the Lusitano and the Andalusian in the past, which are more, like obviously they're older, but they're more dressage-y. As I'm looking in the background at the Arabian Thoroughbred and the English Thoroughbred, but obviously, like, they can be more race horses, obviously, so we have had that angle as well. And obviously we have the championships with our more races, so I think those make sense as well. And then we've had the Dutch warm blood, is that how it's in English, I think? Like we have these ones here. They are so pretty. I wasn't anticipating before I saw the trailer to get more Dutch warm blood, since we got some last year. But I think this one is so cool with the grey tail, because like we don't have any other base like that. And then we have this, is it called checkered? Do you say checkered in English? We have this color. I don't know the English name of this color, but it reminds me of one of the Trackeners, and the Trackeners were one of my favorite breeds back in the day, when they first released, like way back in, like, what, 2017, 2018, I can't remember. It was probably 2018. Yeah, it was probably 2018 at the earliest. It's been so long. I started high school in 2018. Okay, that's beside the point. I've been rambling for so long. This is such a long video already. But I really like them, and obviously I really love the Dutch warm bloods from last year, but we have had more dressage breeds, and we've also had like the Lipizzen, which is also like more dressage-y. So I enjoyed that we got some more like show jumping horses, because we had more race horses and more dressage horses, and now we finally got a good, show jumping horse at the Equestrian Festival. But I would have liked more, maybe. We have that one show jumping course with Jannica at Jorvik Stables, but I would have preferred, to get something new. Maybe something with that system that we got to try and play last year, that they mentioned on the quests, because it's the same quest dialogue as last year. Because it's like, oh, you can try this new like show jumping thing at the riding hall in Moorland, which also, by the way, it's in Silverglade, not Moorland, but sure, because Moorland is in Silverglade. Silverglade is not in Moorland. But also, like, no, there isn't. That was last year, and they just missed that in the quests, obviously. But like, maybe we could have gotten something like that back, so that we could have like had some fun show jumping gameplay with a show jumping horse, perhaps. But yeah, I've done my shopping now, and we've talked about everything I can think about this festival. So yeah, what are your thoughts on the Equestrian Festival? Did you enjoy your time with it? Did you buy any horses? Did you get all the clothes you wanted? Were there no clothes that you liked, perhaps? What are your thoughts on like the bugs, on the quests, on the treasure hunt? I'm so sorry. Ignore. Obviously, it's busy. This is not as busy as Airstore. I'm not on Airstore at the moment. I'm moving back later today or tomorrow. We'll see. When I remember to do it. And I have been back a few times over the month as well. Once again, beside the point. Also realized I'm gonna have videos come up after this video that I recorded during the month of April that I'm gonna talk about, like, oh, I'm not on Airstore right now, so it's gonna be confusing. But anyway, that's tangents. What are your thoughts on the Equestrian Festival? The horses, the quests, the event as a whole, like the new content, what would you like to see instead? The bugs? Are you with me on the fact that, like, maybe it's time to move on from festivals? Or, but I prefer more is like we get everything week 1 and then the event continues in the background for another 3 weeks, but those weeks have normal standard updates that aren't building on the festival but building on the normal game. I would prefer to see that. Because obviously I can't see them doing the thing like that I said about Genshin, which I should have talked about more before, but Genshin, like, every event is just like those between those specific dates, and then it's nothing more. But Genshin also has at least one event every update. Obviously they only update once every month, I think. Is it twice every month? Maybe it's twice every month, I can't remember. But they have updates a lot slower than Star Stable does. And they also have a much bigger company and a much bigger budget, because it's a gacha game, and gacha game is technically gambling, and that means that you are gambling, and that takes a lot of money. And Star Stable isn't that. As much as Star Stable, if you want everything, costs a lot of money, it isn't a gacha game. And therefore it doesn't cost gacha money if you are a gacha whale, it's called, when you spend a lot of money in a gacha game. Because obviously you can spend a lot of money on Star Stable, but I don't think I've seen anyone who spent, like $40,000 in a year on Star Stable. If you have, how? Like, I don't think there are enough horses released in a year to warrant buying star coins for $40,000. But I know of people who have spent over $40,000 a year on Genshin. And they have a much bigger player base, a much bigger company. Obviously, it's a whole different genre. It's a genre that generates a lot more money. They have an older target player base. Obviously, there's a lot of things that goes into that, and that's not what we're here to discuss. But they can't be compared. A lot of people do, but they can't, because of different genres, different monetization models, which is, once again, not the topic of this video. It's time to end this. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope I was interesting when I talked about my game design part, because I would really like to start talking more about game design. And if you wanna see more game design things, tell me, and also help give me ideas, because that's why I haven't. I run into this thing that I was annoyed with in the game, and it's and I started looking at how would I have designed it differently, and that's what sparked this. If you have things like that, where it's this kind of annoys me, maybe it could be fixed, leave a comment, because maybe I'll get inspired and I'll actually make more videos like that, because I want to do it. I want to talk about game design. It's a huge passion of mine, obviously. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider leaving a like, maybe subscribing if you haven't already, and leave a comment, your thoughts about the festival and about game design things that I could do. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.